Hello there, and welcome to another of my map reviews. I've always wanted to review as many maps as I can in this game. I've only ever gotten around to doing about 4 or 5 though. But I would like to review this one because it was somebody that posted on the subreddit, the Company of Heroes subreddit. His name was Hoildra. New map made by myself, 2-player, Riverside. So much effort into the details. Please check it out. And then I saw that there's a lot of aesthetical comments in the comment section saying it looks really nice, looks like something from United States National Park. Beautiful map. The waterfall is really neat. Almost lost my squads because I was busy admiring it. So I quickly jumped in a quick game against CPU just to get a picture of it myself, and I agree, it is beautiful. By the way, to the maker of the map, I have adjusted the texture to remove the fog so I can zoom in and out at will. Without further ado, we're just going to have me playing CPU as Brits, because Brits are OP. And let's just have a look at the TAC map and go through the overall sections of the map and how it's constructed. So it's a west versus east map. And it's constructed via, obviously you've got the base sector here. This is a cutoff if you've got the central victory point, and you've also taken these points here. So there doesn't seem to be like an Angoville style too hard cutoff system. You have to have a combination of, it looks like, one and then the victory point and then these two possibly here. So you do need good map control to deny resources. It's a victory point in a straight line, traditional symmetrical victory point layout. Very interesting. And let's go through sections of the map from south to north. So we'll start in the south over here. Let me zoom in a little bit. And as you can see, I think, to be honest, I'll give it a little bit of an aesthetical overview first. So this is the map in part. Unfortunately, the top half of the map will fade out a little bit due to the draw distance. So this is the southern area, over to the western area over here, and then if we follow this beautiful river all the way down, you can see what he meant by the amount of detail he's put into this thing. He's really gone to town. Obviously a lot of players at the moment will be cringing at the amount of water and choke points, but to be honest, other than this area in the north, in general it did seem open enough, because these are not difficult to traverse choke points. I mean, it is negative cover, but I had no trouble traversing these areas. This is quite open ground. So the victory points, because they're always obviously points of contention by their very nature. The southern one, it does seem to have a lot of red cover. There is green cover on both sides, so he's tried to make it as fair as possible in that regard. There are no hard garrisons near the victory point as such. In the centre, you have this one, which is wide open space. Not much green cover around, so it's probably going to end up being a bit of a slugfest for that area. And then in the north, this one, which is a really strange layout, but not in a bad way. I'm not saying the design is flawed. I'm just saying it's interesting to me. I've not seen one like this before. It's on a big depression, much like that one in the middle, but you can go north on this bridge here. The actual area itself is medium cover, with negative cover all around it, so you'd probably have to clear the area in order to cap the victory point. You couldn't try and be in the victory point and just hold holy hell. Just to get a picture of these garrisons are very important, so I just want to get a view of these ones. They do have north-facing windows that face the victory point, so you could possibly have units in there trying to contest as well. I'd have to see that in a competitive scenario in order to judge it. I'm gonna turn the game sounds down a bit. I don't know how loud it is for you, but it's doing my head in. I'm going to turn it on my headset. I've been listening to Come Heroes all day with King of the Hill, so I do want to turn that down a little bit. But yeah, it's a beautiful map. Now, little bits of things I noticed is there is elevation on this map, and elevation and Company of Heroes doesn't go hand in hand. So if you notice this elevation up to this... Sorry, that's not very good camera work. This elevation here, as viewed from this side here, could cause problems for packs, Panzerfausts, for anything that requires trajectory really in a horizontal way. And I would advise to either shallow this out. I know this would mess with your waterfall features. Possibly you'd have to remove one step of the waterfall in order to make this area less high and the gradients less steep. because I know from experience Company Heroes 2 does not handle gradients very well in terms of design, in my opinion. So I'd recommend this. Seems to be the steeper. This is fine. This eastern flank of the map is fine. The gradient isn't too steep, but this here, the big banks here, could become an issue. Strong garrisons. Just through playing, I noticed this one was really strong, which could put the western side at a disadvantage. I can't see a garrison on this side of the map that is as strong. Usually a garrison is defined as a strong garrison if it's got 2 stories and you know, you can fire multiple rifles through one window. Like this one, there's only 2 per window. This one, however, this house, it's up to 5 per side. So 2 per side on the eastern side, but 5 per side on the western side. So that could cause issues. So again, that's a little bit of possible avenues you could change. Have a test of this garrison. Ask players how they find this, because this, if you look on the tap map, yet again, is a cut-off. So it is a garrison. A cut-off. It has to be balanced, otherwise you're going to suffer. Onto the base sections. I noticed the base section MGs were very easy to take out and a little bit too far back. It seemed I took this cutoff without being in the scope of this MG. You see that there? That is the maximum extent of the MG, unless you have absolute line of sight. Sometimes you can go a little bit beyond that cone of fire, from my experience. So, I would recommend possibly getting this MG in a position to perhaps hit maybe a little tiny bit further forward, perhaps there. And I'd also recommend, have seen on this on a lot of maps, double up on your MG on your base sectors, because these are really easy to take out. I mean, look at the line of sight for a pack there. You could shoot down that channel, take out this MG in the base sector, and you have a free rush at the base. There's only 1 MG guarding at the moment. I know there's this one in the rear, but perhaps double up is what I'm saying for those ones. And I think the case is similar here, although this one is protected better by the water. On this side, again, it's a bit too gaping of a hole, and you could imagine a base rush would be very easy to accomplish. All you'd have to do is to protect the infantry as it gets to this side, take out this MG, and you are golden. I think, of course, you've got to remember, like the pizza section of the riflemen would stop this MG. Next thing I want to point out to you, I mean, I've given it enough positives, and I just want to be constructive as I can in my feedback. Other than saying the stuff you did great, which isn't going to help you with this map, I just want to point out stuff I've noticed from my experience. This is a bit of a trivial one now, though. I personally think seeing the waterfall would be prettier. I just do. I think possibly a southern aspect on this map. So that would look, hang on, let me get my camera angles right. So it would be the opposite of that. Let me get the exact perfect, there you go. So it would be from this perspective. You'd be able to see this bridge here and see these waterfalls in all their glory. I don't know, would that be better? It's just something for you to think about. I think from this perspective, you're hiding the beauty of the map a little bit, because you're only seeing the back of the waterfall, not the beautiful features from this orientation. Again, the gradient doesn't look quite as bad on this bank in this direction, but it could possibly be that way. So I've talked about garrisons, I've talked about the orientation, the base sectors. The only thing next is to talk about pieces of cover and how players would interact with them. So this would be a slugfest over here. Obviously there is negative cover in between. It's a slugfest to take control of strategic points. That isn't of high priority. You do offer the eastern player more heavy cover, possibly, opportunities, because he can get behind this one, and then he's up against his opponent behind that one. If you look on the eastern side, it's a little bit different. There's a lot of medium cover that'll get destroyed by vehicles really easily, because this is the entrance for the vehicles. So I'd recommend having a think about that, and trying to think about how the flow of battle would orientate itself. I could imagine that the northern section of the map would end up being the less played for. I'd think that as Wehrmacht you would try and take this ground here, where you can get your packs and your MGs working for you. And I think this would become the harassment section of the map in the north here. This fuel, it'd be interesting to see how much I think if Wehrmacht start in the west, how much they'd contest for this, or be able to cut it off. I appreciate... Yeah, you'd have to go really deep into the base section in order to get that sector there. it'd be quite difficult to cut off. You'd need to take this victory point and then that there, which again is really close to the enemy's base, to cut off the opponent's fuel. It's all about contesting this here, this cut off, and of course trying to take control here. And I'd recommend that the Western faction would have more difficulty in taking this fuel cut-off up here. It'd be more difficult. I think this would be their highly fought over area, and then we'd end up with the Eastern player having a bit of an advantage. Again, with this garrison being on the cut-off, I think it would be East favoured overall, based on my experience of casting thousands of hours of on different maps, tournament level, tournament organisation, having to hear all the feedback from all the players. This map's OP, this map's underpowered, etc. for different factions, and tends to be the primary source of feedback is garrisons and heavy cover near cut-offs and vital fuel points. So that's a lot of feedback for you to offer there, and there's a lot to change. But to be honest, it wouldn't be that much to change it. You could possibly look at maybe moving this island possibly a little bit closer to the area of play, so this cut-off here is closer. Nerfing the heavy cover here. Having a look at this garrison, you could probably flip it on its axis 90 degrees, so only 2 windows were facing the cut-off. That would nerf the building, or again, you could make it a 1-story building like on this side. But yeah, it's looking like a good map. One last point of call, possibly decongest this area a little tiny bit. You already might change this heavy cut-off a little bit based on my advice if you take my advice, but in order to make it not allied overpowered, you do need to get Wehrmacht's line of sight orientated support weapons, that's PACs and MGs, give them a little bit of a clearer run, in my opinion, to get the current meta of play balanced for a map. So yeah, really great map, great effort put into it. Just a few minor tweaks, in my opinion, would get this in a position where we could see high-level players giving it a go. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed my map review. I might do more in the future if it's content that you like, so say so in the comments if you like it. And thank you and goodbye. Bye-bye.